Happy Saturday, everyone. Happy Saturday. All right, so you already been here at VIPS. I love VIPS. VIPS is amazing. I think VIPS has been probably the single best investment in my social, professional, and academic networking life and career that I've ever made. So the reason I say that is because when I joined VIPS, I was able to be basically a part of a community of people that were unafraid to be smart, to be intelligent, to say that, yeah, I have a brain, I use it, maybe a little over half, would already make you use it better than most people, right? I see a lot of proof to that pudding, right? So at the very least, you are academically smart, and you can pass tests, you can get good grades, you know how to show up, you have family support. I know getting into VIPS, somebody besides yourself loves you, supports you, and says, I can see your intelligence as well. And that's a gift. That's a gift that you should cherish. So if that's your mom, auntie, cousin, best friend, tell them thank you for believing in my intelligence. Things like that matter. My name is Miles Goodwell, and I never got to actually be a student in VIPS. I joined as a mentor. So I went to Crenshaw High, and I graduated in 2007. Count those years, I won't put it out loud. Now, in 2008, they had their first cohort that graduated from high school. So my senior year at Crenshaw, I'm seeing the VIP students get called out of class. They're going to the college counseling room. And so I said, let me go to the college center and see what's going on. So I was the type of kid to ditch class to go to something that was talking about college. And then the times I got caught, they would look at my grades, because at Crenshaw, they would look at your grades and they try to embarrass you. So you got a 2.2 and you skipping class. So every time I got caught, they're like, you got a 4.0 and you're skipping the presentation from UCLA? Yeah, you can go back, right? And so I want to say you're in a special group in space because I had to sneak to get a part of VIPS. So by the time I got to UCLA on my own and going through other programs like EAOP, I needed a job on campus because why not make money? I went straight to Dr. Tunstall. She didn't have a PhD then. But what was great is I said, I need a job, I want to work, I want to be able to help students. And she said, okay, I need you to go to Crenshaw on basis, go talk to students. And at that point, they never really worked with 9th graders, they worked with 10th graders and 11th graders only. So I went, talked to the 9th graders, and I started creating this 9th grade pipeline at Basis and Crenshaw for students to come into VIPS and understand ahead of time what it requires. So a lot of times what happens when it comes to people being able to make successful moves and successful decisions is that they don't know what it requires. They don't know what the path ahead lays. They don't know what they have to overcome. They don't know what they have to do. And it's the lack of knowledge that really keeps people from understanding how they can move forward. So when it comes to paying for college, do you know everything that you need to do? No. Right? Is there at least one thing that you can learn? What's one thing that you know about paying for college? All right, so he knows they can say no. You can't even get into college. They're going to say, please, please, please pay this tuition. So if you don't pay, they're going to hit you up with a bill. They're going to say, we're repeating this one more time, your tuition is due. Oh, teamwork. What do you know about paying for college? Does anybody know anything? Volunteer? I love my voice, but I would like to switch it up. Scholarships. You can get scholarships to pay for college. What else can you do to pay for college? You can get grants, the Pell Grant, right? Hopefully we don't have to say Pell Grant, rest in peace, but the Pell Grant. Financial aid, okay. What about that elephant that's in the middle of the room? Ooh, say it again. No. They spell loans, D-E-V-I-L, okay? So, that's how it goes, right? And now, you get this whole financial aid package that has loans, it has grants, it has scholarships, right? There's a school like 35 minutes away from here, go straight 9 to 10, hit the 110, go off on like Jefferson. Whatever letters you want to use. They cost $97,000. So you can get a whole financial aid package for $47,000. Now, if you do the math, 97 minus 47. Oh yeah, what'd you say? Yeah, but that tuition package said 50,000 is left. So now you have 50,000 left, right? Mind you can probably go to UCLA for that whole 50. Take that 47 when you're in Westwood and unbiased. Nonetheless, what I'm trying to say is you need to understand there's a lot of different things that go into loans that are different than going into scholarships, that are different than going into grants. There's difference in scholarships that are given to you by the university itself, and there are scholarships that you can apply for. So have you ever applied for anything? Yes. Did you have to apply to get into this? Yes. And how did you know to apply for this? Who told you?
My counselor.
Counselor. Who else? Your cousin. Shout out to cousin. Who else? Mom. Shout out to mom. Moms always know. Moms have something in there. I can't explain it, but it's in there. I promise. Dad's got something too. It's a different type of intuition. But you have to really understand all the different things that go into that. So we're going to talk about scholarships. We're going to talk about money in college. I have a scholarship that you can apply for today. You don't have to be a high school senior to apply for this scholarship. You don't have to already be in college. If you want more information about graduate school and stuff like that, because you're already thinking 6 years ahead, then we can also talk about that too briefly. Just ask me at the end. So let's keep going so we can stay on time. Oh, by the way, my name is Professor Miles. I left UCLA after working for VIPS my whole 4 years, graduated in 2011. I went on to the University of Pennsylvania, which is an Ivy League school in Philadelphia, graduated with my Master's of Science in Higher Education, which means I basically studied the statistics and understandings behind higher education and focused on the business of college. So with that, I studied the financial structure of the UCs, the Cal States, and the community colleges in California, since that was the original institution and tiered higher education system that taught Virginia, Texas, New York how to set up all of their state schools as well. They're mirroring us because California is the best. Everybody wants to be us. You can't be the fourth largest economy in the world, when your state's outshining nations. Why not be great? Might as well just go to the University of California, which can, add up and get you to about 37. I think they actually raised the price again, so that's higher now. You have San Diego State, 24,000. Loyola Marymount, LMU, shout out to LMU, 56,000. 77 at the room and board. How much y'all making a year? And so average student loan is gonna be about $35,000. Right? Now, what are some of the careers you're aiming for? I want to be a doctor. Okay, what type of doctor?
A pediatrician or a sports medicine physician.
Okay, pediatrician, about 120 to 180K. Do you think you're worth an investment if you had to take the loans of $50,000 if you know you could make 120, 180 back in your career?
Okay, realistically speaking, I would get scholarships. But if I work the investment,
Four slides away from the scholarships.
Am I worth the investment? Yes.
Are you worth the investment? That's the question.
Not the interest.
I'm not asking you to take out a loan right now. Are you worth college tuition?
Yes.
Okay, and based upon your plan, you believe it's absolutely the best decision for you? No. Okay. So, when you become a doctor, how else can you become a doctor without going to college?
With scholarships, grants, if I work hard enough in school, it would be free.
Exactly. It can be free. I took 20 little scholarships and paid for UCLA along with the financial aid package they gave me because the financial aid package didn't cover everything. And so by being able to win scholarships that were ranging from $1,000 to $10,000, I was able to pay for school, made UCLA 1,000% worth it. Now, I went on the UPenn and got loans to get that master's in higher education, so I also understand the pain of loans, which I still have to pay to this day. So I'm here to tell you, get the scholarships, get your undergrad paid for. But even if you have to take loans, it's probably the last time I have to take loans in this entire speech, you're worth it. Believe in your plan, believe in you. If you're already here, you're in this room, you are clearly above average. You're clearly cut above the rest. I know that doesn't sound great for like other people's emotions and feelings who may not be in this room, but you're elite, you might as well embrace it, you might as well at least think it. So that means you have elite chances, you have elite opportunities. And if you got in the VIPs, that means you have the resume, you have the academics, you have the pedigree to be eligible for most of the scholarships. Because when I show you what they're looking for, you'll see yourself in it. Make sense? Yeah. Cool. All right. Money in college are a unique category. Because at 18, I can't give you $200,000 in loans to buy a house or start a business, but I can give it to you to pay this tuition. That's pretty much the whole point. There's credit cards, car loans, home loans, but student loans also can be federally backed, which is why you might hear in politics and all those speeches why people are talking about student loans and they're constantly talking about it in the news. And why does it seem like it's a political decision? They talk about people going to school, and it's because those loans are federally backed. And what that means is if you take out a loan and it doesn't look like you're going to potentially pay it back, the federal government tells that financial institution will pay it back if they don't. StudentAid.gov is where you go to start looking at your FAFSA. So this is the first step for money in college. FAFSA. What does FAFSA stand for? One minute at a time. First step.
Free assistance for student.
Change free to
federal.
Now you're talking. Federal.
That's federal assistance for student aid.
The government will give you some money. Okay. Boom. Gotcha. So this slide is for the parents. Okay? And this is also, if your parents aren't here, then you probably should take a picture of this slide, and then you need to go talk to your parents and have a conversation with them today. You don't need to do everything today. You don't need to actually take an action outside of having the conversation of, hey mom, hey dad, when I apply to college, I'm going to need your tax returns. I know you love me, I know you trust me with like taking the garbage out, but I'm going to need you to trust me with those tax returns. You know, technically parents can upload it themselves. Y'all should have the same, share that password, let them do it. Child support. I'm not going to go into that. It's not my specialty, but that is a factor. Current balances of cash savings and checking accounts. Okay? So, all that comes into play when you're filing your taxes. Same type of information will come into play for your FAFSA. Your net worth, social security number if you have one, your date of birth, and some things like an email address and a mailing address. Standard stuff. And just know it's always due by June 30th of the first year that you finish college. Now, it's advantageous to finish it by the end of your senior year, so you could have some type of money and a financial package going into college. That make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Because a lot of times people feel like they missed stuff by high school senior year, and they're like, oh, my life is over. The only thing you can't repeat is prom. You know what I'm saying? You go buy scholarships to the day you graduate college. I actually would advise April of your junior year of high school through April of your junior year of undergrad, you should apply to one scholarship a week. Because guess what? Your whole tuition's covered. You have enough scholarships to cover. You got financial aid. You got enough grants. What happens to all that extra scholarship money?
You keep it.
You know what I'm saying? Ask you. Why owe you? Get paid. Have you ever wrote 500 words and someone was like, cool, here's $500? I have. I did it so many times. I won 20 scholarships, ranging from $1,000 to about $10,000. The most words I wrote was 1,000, and honestly, after about the 5th essay, I just started to kind of like rinse and repeat, edit, change a little bit, figure out what they're asking, and then I made sure that I presented that. So scholarships are free money. It's words in exchange for dollars. That's what it actually is. So the reason you want to start applying in April of your junior year is because most scholarships, 50% of them are for high school seniors. By the time they give you the scholarship in October, what will you be if you applied in April of your junior year of high school? A high school senior. They'll be like, great. Then you might say, show up to a gala, show up to an event. You have to accept the check in person. Local scholarships are the best ones for that. Why would local scholarships be a great avenue versus maybe like the Bill and Melinda Gates that pays for everything?
There's less people to compete against.
Yes, there's less people to compete against, right? So you're already in this room, so you've already beat out a lot of high school students, right? The ones who didn't apply, which is the biggest issue with scholarships, students who don't apply. And then second, now you have an opportunity to compete with less people. So at the end of this presentation, I'm going to show you what scholarships you can apply for that's only for LA, like Los Angeles County. Maybe like City Valley too, but we're not counting City Valley. And if you're offended, I'm sorry, but sure, that should be Okay? Alright? So, the reason I also say for 1 a week is because honestly, your first 20 applications, you need practice. You don't know what you're doing. You haven't figured out your narrative. You haven't identified how to tell someone who you are. And then frankly, every time I read scholarships, first thing I want to see is how you answer the question. And most people don't answer the question. But we'll dive into that later. So what are scholarships looking for? These are the 3 prototypes of people who win scholarships the most. Of course, if you don't finish one of these prototypes, there's always an anomaly. There's always somebody who's an outlier. No, maybe you're a trailblazer, and maybe your story hasn't been told yet, so we don't know that you are the face of a new profile that is yet to come. But for what I've seen over the last 25 years, is that if you have a 4.0, you're taking 4 or 5 AP classes by the time that you finish high school, and you're on track to be a doctor or a lawyer, everyone's gonna freaking love you. Especially if you're a person of color. It's just so rare. What percentage of people are doctors that are people of color? Specifically black people. Less than 10. What percentage are dentists? Might be less than 5. I know it's less than 10. Yeah. What about lawyers? PhDs, scientists. All those stereotypical astronauts, all those stereotypical jobs that are like, oh, we know that's successful. You walk into a room, hi, I'm a doctor. Okay. Hi, I'm a lawyer. Oh, sure, I love that. Hi, I'm in finance. I work on Wall Street next. Oh, okay, great. My whole summer. Right? Those are the careers that everyone loves. And scholarship readers and approvers and the people who are rewarding you are no different. It's a human being. Maybe it's a computer, so they can get 200 applicants to 50, but once they get to 50, fine. They're reading it, and they gotta feel something. And what they're really trying to do is see if they believe in you. That's really it. You do, your mama do, your cousin do, but you have to now convince Stranger 5 at Organization 4 that you are worth their $5,000 scholarship. Does that make sense? Student leader. You might not have a 4.0, you might not be on that perfect career track, but we love a student that stands out, stands up, and can stand for something. So, okay, you're a president, you're a secretary, you're a community leader, you volunteer. All that free time you got at 16, when you just be eating snacks, watching TV, and you chose to come volunteer at this hospital, this daycare center. You're over here working at this park doing the summer programs. Oh, let the narrative be you were in the program when you were 10, now you came back at 16 to be a summer counselor. Right? So I used to be at a park called Harvard Park. I used to be a part of a group called Camp Gideon. It was a group in Camp Gideon where they took a bunch of kids from basically the Master Johnson Theater. I don't know what that is. Crenshaw King. Okay, so a bunch of kids from Crenshaw King community, right? Crenshaw district, and they'll take us over to Pomona, and Glenn Turman, who's an actor, I don't know what that is. He put on all these like real rodeo experiences that we had for 3 or 4 days. I went back at 16, at 20 to be a counselor, got a scholarship off the story that they never just heard about a black kid in the Crenshaw district riding horses. My sister dropped out of 2 high schools, still was eligible to potentially get the scholarship off the same story. And when she finally was like, all right, I'm gonna try and go and get my ass right, I'm gonna go in and go to community college. Right? She also, for whatever reason, had 3.3 this entire time, but nonetheless. Genius in height. Resilient student. Students who overcome poverty, gangs, cancer, single parenthood, first generation. So basically, half of those are the movies. Right? That's all they want to see. You don't have to be the person experiencing these things. All you have to say is, I saw it on my block. I hate to say it, but like that stereotype of I'm from the hood, I've had less than, I got one mom, I haven't seen my dad since I was 2. You know, it never gets old as far as the story for why you should believe in me, especially when we're reading from a student that's over a 3.0, consistently going to school and doing anything additional. This, additional. Volunteering, additional. Sports, additional. Right? Because you don't have to do those things to graduate high school. You don't have to do those things to even get into college. There are colleges with a 2.0 and a heartbeat, they'll let you in. It's the school you want to go to. The best applicant is a mix of all of it. You're somewhere between 3.5 and a 4.0. You volunteer your community during the summer. When I was in high school, we had to volunteer 50 hours just to graduate from high school. So that was, I put that in my essay, right? I didn't say it was a requirement. I said I did that with goodness in my heart. Leader of a club on campus. If you don't have a club on campus that you like, high school campus, start one. What's better than a leader? A founder. Because you're both. Overcome a hardship, take that one to the bank. Okay? Overcome a hardship. The hardship doesn't have to be yours, you just have to be impacted by it. Your aunt's second cousin, twice removed, who you met once a year at the family barbecue, has a terminal illness. You found out that they have breast cancer. That's serious. That's sad. But because you one day want to go on to medical school, become a doctor, and you think about the impact that your auntie's second cousin, twice removed, has had in those conversations with you once a year, when she talks about what she's going through, and all you want to do is genuinely solve her pain. And you've always felt like you couldn't do enough. So finally you said, I'm going to take biology, chemistry, physics seriously. You go on and you want to graduate from medical school, not to be a doctor, but be the person who saves your auntie's second cousin twice removed's life. And everybody else like her. Because we love Kate. She's awesome. And when no one else was talking to you while eating hot dogs, she did.
Tell your story.
Barbecue sauce. Put some sauce on that story. Sell the story. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I voted amazing essay. Because even if you got a 2.2, 2.5, and you sell the story, you write the narrative, you in there. You're in there. That's who wins. Who tells the best story? Now, what makes up a good story are these things. But this is the best story. Does that make sense? All right, so the great poet Nipsey Hussle once said, where your money at? We're going to get 100 stacks. So here are your 4 core components. I would say take a picture of this. Because when you forget about everything I've said today, you're like, oh, dude, it's kind of funny. Scholarship dude? Yeah. But what's he talking about? This is the slide you go back to. If you want to see in the essay that you're making a difference, you take the scholarship seriously. These are scholarships. So the scholar should always be there. Leadership, hardship. All right, the essay. And by the way, these days, they're doing a lot of videos. 30 to 30 seconds to like 3-minute videos for scholarships. So if you're not comfortable like being on the camera, I'm not saying get on TikTok, I am. But I'm not saying get on TikTok, but you need to start talking in front of a camera and like getting comfortable. It's just a new world, it's a new media, it's a new day. Some people want 1,000 words or less, 500 words, 250 words. Some people want a 45-second video. Okay? Black at Microsoft, $5,000 scholarship. Who should apply?
Everybody.
Exactly. So scholarships that you don't even maybe think you qualify for, you should apply for. There's a sorority called Delta Sigma Theta. Okay. All right. Delta's always deep. Always has something educational. Okay. You look at the history of black women. The first to do 80% of everything was a Delta. Now I'm done with my public statement. So Delta Sigma Theta is amazing, and they give these scholarships, right, all the time. So the Los Angeles Alumni Chapter, right, gave out a scholarship, and it was targeted and focused towards young ladies. But when I read the requirements, it never said you had to be a lady. Now I know it's 2025, gender. I identify as a man. At that time, I identified as a boy. I am a boy, David. Okay, so I applied for the scholarship. I got $2,000 from the Texas. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. But I just want to give you an example. It won. And then when I talked to one of the women on the board who chose, she just said, you know what? We had 5 scholarships, and we had about 8 applicants, and I still beat out at least, I think, and they gave it to the 3 young ladies who applied. And there was 2 slots left. Your boy. So, apply for the scholarship. But if you match the scholarship, yes, you have a better chance. Okay? I don't know how the applications are doing for GST these days, but you might not be able to repeat that, but you can repeat this. And I will say apply for all those different scholarships, right? Unless they say absolutely you cannot, right? And I will even say while you're applying to your first 20, it doesn't even matter if you match the requirements. So in the professional world, what we tell people is if you match 70% of the requirements on a job description, apply. Because out of the other applicants, who knows how you'll compare? Because who are they really choosing between? The applicants, not whoever's in your head, not the applicants in your head, not that imaginary story, not that narrative that we got rid of 40 seconds ago, 20 minutes ago, but the new narrative, new you competing against you. It's all you have in your hands to control. Everything else is up in the air. So when you see a scholarship that you are actually lined up with, like maybe a black at Microsoft, and you plan on taking a 4-year, you must be a high school senior of African descent, and then you demonstrate leadership at the school or in community. Do we see how some of the qualities and characteristics that I had listed before are in here? Yes, sir.
The last bullet point requires financial assistance to attend college. What are they looking for that?
Yeah, so they might ask for taxes at that point to make sure that you're basically within a certain financial range.
And what are they usually looking at in terms of like how much what's the maximum your family income?
So it varies. So for like at Microsoft, I would say they're probably looking at and this is stuff to do with California too, so like numbers change. But the first tier is always who lives below the poverty line. The second tier is who makes above average amount of income or below. Average income in the United States is about $56,000 to $59,000. Okay. Then the third tier is essentially if you make less than 6 figures, about $100,000 or below. And those are usually the 3 tiers that I've seen across different scholarships. I can't say Black and Microsoft specifically, but at different scholarships that they look at.
They don't look at California versus South.
If it's a California scholarship, absolutely. If it's national, not always. Because California money versus Alabama,
Right.
it's totally different worlds. Financially, and at least 15 other things, I haven't seen someone get hit in the head with a chair out here.
If it doesn't actually say those brackets, could a student potentially write their financial need based upon where they want to invest?
Yes.
Prove it that way.
So thank you for saying that. I would advocate if there's a gap between what the school costs and how much you got in your financial aid package, you require financial assistance. And if you're nervous about that because maybe of your family's income, then just explain that for a couple sentences in your actual essay, right? So you just say, well, it's how I talk, but you can figure it out for yourself, which is, the delta between my financial assistance and the total amount of tuition fees, room and board that is required to attend UCLA leaves me about $20,000 to fill myself. My parents have given me as much as they possibly can. At this point, I've even signed up for a job on campus, but it's left me still with $20,000 to be able to identify. I'm applying for the scholarship at Black at Microsoft not only because I'm engaged and completely committed to technology as a growth sector and opportunity, but I'm also applying because I need the money to be able to complete my degree. I want to be the greatest engineer that's ever come out of my high school. Blah, 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 yada, yada. I'm a leader. I volunteer. I do this.
I said, so what's your information so I can email you?
Scholarship launch at gmail.com.
Got you.
I'm also on TikTok. You can just DM me too if you want. I drop daily tips on scholarships on TikTok under the name Professor Miles.
Can you say the yes at gmail.com?
I'm sorry, scholarship launch at gmail.com. Yes.
The main word that you use is need.
Need. Yes. Yes. You can advocate for that need. But it's tricky with California. Like, you go to San Francisco, you make less than $120,000, you can get food stamps. Because you're below the poverty line in Frisco. I was rich from Oakland. I'm like, that's crazy, because we lived in Oakland for a long time under 120 didn't get no food stamps. All right? My mom had to be a teacher and work at Ralph's. All right? Well, it was same price back then. But, so, right now you can apply for a $2,000 scholarship. So please scan the QR code and apply for the scholarship. The history behind the scholarship is that there was a company that wanted the short tank, a guy named Chris Gray. He actually went to Drexel University at the time that I was teaching at Drexel University. He created his own company while he was in college called Scholarly. He had a website, myscholarly.com. At Scholarly, he had a directory that also had a place for you to input your essay and get, let's say, grammatical feedback on your essay. He sold that company to Sally Mae because most people who build a business have the intention of selling that business. Sally Mae bought it, but Sally Mae gives out not scholarships, they give out what?
Loans.
So, yeah, they will, right? So what Sally Mae did was turn this whole company into a $2,000 scholarship. Now the company used to give out more than that, so for me I'm a little sad. But the good thing is they give out the scholarship every month. It doesn't require an essay. You literally just have to put in your information, they press a little at random button, and a random person is winning it every single month. So to get that first 20 scholarships in so you can kind of get used to just applying, that's what you want to be able to do, is start applying for some of those no essay scholarships. Get like 5, 6 of those in, so you just feel used to applying for scholarships. I feel like those are usually national, they're super easy, they have a whole lot of competition, so I don't usually have the highest hopes, but people have won, so it's real. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up. We're gonna finish this up in about 5 minutes. I didn't get to everything, but I will make sure that y'all can have my information. Well, we just did that. So we'll be good to go. So quick part. Oh, take a picture of the next slide. This one is the Jackie Robinson Scholarship for $35,000, usually due in the second or third week of November, right before Thanksgiving, and oftentimes they postpone it until January. So $35,000 to the National Alumni Network, where you get to go visit people and they fly you out to New York, and they give you $35,000 to go back to school, and they fly you out every year. So scholarships are more than just money for school. They can also be a community. It can be a source of camaraderie, an opportunity for networking, and 10 years later, when you have your degree and some work experience, somebody can say, hey, yo, Why don't you come work for me? And then now you have another job opportunity, which has happened to you before. Here is where you want to take a picture of. 2 seconds. Take a picture of this because I bolded the most important words. So when we say answer the question, like what I'm really talking about is like answer the question. Like, and then like look specifically at what words are standing out, what matters, right? Here on this last part, you're talking about your upbringing and the way you see the world. That's what you're responding to. Don't spend a lot of time responding to the reader a sense of who you are, right? And you're like, where do I go with that? They're telling you, we want to know about upbringing. We want to know about what shapes your life. We want to know about the way you see the world. Okay? So here's some key terms when it comes to money. Just take a picture. 5, 4, 3, 2. Next one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so that's a little bit of resources. Another QR code. Send this to your favorite senior. So you all don't qualify for this, but I wanted you to see what a current scholarship was. I'm sorry, is that a pump fake? I didn't realize that was a cat. But anyways, share this with your favorite high school senior that goes into school. They're looking to give a $5,000 scholarship to anybody in LA County that can explain in 30 to 60 seconds on video why they deserve this scholarship as a representative of LA, right? And so, 30 seconds. Hi, my name is Miles Goodlow. I'm graduating Crenshaw High as the top male in my class. I'm looking to go to UCLA and enroll in the fall because I have an aspiration of becoming a lawyer, and so I'm studying political science, and I would really love this scholarship so I can make sure that as a lawyer I can provide justice and representation for populations that have been forgotten and underserved in Los Angeles County. 30 seconds. June Scholarship Tracker. So I have a business, it's called Scholarship Launch. And so through this QR code, you'll be able to get access to my scholarships. I upload scholarships for high school seniors, college students, and undergrads, and I update it every single month. There are billions of scholarships out there, a million of scholarships to choose from, and I feel like it's overwhelming for a huge population of people who could do a lot better if they just had some guidance, some structure, and said, these are 5 real scholarships, not a scam, people are winning these, you should actually check these out for this month, because every month, there's a more and more opportunity that's out there. When you go to my website, there will be prices there, but they are not for you. What you're going to do is you're going to put in, take a picture of this, because you might have to do it later. I'm about to be done. This is my last slide. I love you all. My name is Professor Miles. Follow me on TikTok. ScholarshipLaunch@gmail.com if you have questions. You can also DM me on the talk. But you're going to put in $7 because the product costs $7, right? The tracker. Then you put in the code, which is VIPS 2025. Okay? That will work for all of the products, and that will be free until June 30th. After that, I have bills to pay. Today, I'm trying to help you out. We good? We good? Okay, all right. And share it with your cousin. Thank you.